Welcome to All the Things That They Don't Want You to Talk About. This podcast will explore all the subjects that make the insecure squirm in their seats. Religion, politics, local and national, the Constitution of the United States, and the wheel of love and hate, to just name a few. Stay with us as we use our freedom of speech to delve into the good and the bad. If this podcast is not for you, feel free to find another one and get bent. Without any further ado, here comes all the things that they don't want you to talk about. Good day, everybody. Welcome to our very first podcast.
And that's changed for us because we've been doing the morning show, and you always say good morning, and now they can be listening at any time.
And really, the radio show could be listening at any time because most people probably still listen to it on a podcast.
I know, because it's too early to get up.
It is early in the morning, on Cozy. But, well, we decided that we needed a new podcast.
Because the world don't have enough of them?
Because the world don't have enough of them. That's exactly why. Well, the reason why we're having this podcast is just because through a certain person getting really upset about a couple things that were said on the radio show and making threats to the radio station, a person at the radio station said to me, well, why don't you do a podcast? And so I started thinking about that, and I was like, well, why don't we do a podcast? Just one that will pick up where the show leaves off, because some people out there are a little too sensitive to hear about LGBTQIA++ issues.
What's the I stand for?
Intersex. And A stands for all people, I think. See, and me,
I thought it was asexual.
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
it is, and then the plus is for everybody else. But my point is why don't those who refer to it, why don't they just start with an S at the beginning? It's the SLGBTQIA+.
What's the S?
Straight.
Oh,
for straight people.
Yeah.
And now
we're not included.
And now we're all included, because that's the whole one of the whole things for me is everybody keeps saying inclusion. It's for everybody. It's for everybody except for
you.
Me. For who would be cisgender males. But I've got a new word for cisgender males.
I don't even know what cisgender is.
It means that you're a straight man.
That means you align with the gender you were assigned at birth.
Yes.
We have to have a name for that?
Yes.
Yes, but I do. But we used to call them men. And males. But now you have to have now cisgender men. We are singled out as cisgender as single men. Like
even if you're married.
I wonder if I could bring up like a class action.
Well, maybe it doesn't mean single men, but it just means man. Just regular straight man, I think. Maybe not single man, but straight man.
I'm being oppressed.
Yes.
See, I ain't going to be good for this podcast because I don't listen to none of that news that y'all listen to. It just depresses me.
I think it's a point system.
Well, that's okay. But let me say this, at least to preface the podcast. It's not going to be LGBTQ issues. It's going to be just like the radio show. Even on the radio show, we don't talk about those issues that often. But when we do, the couple times that they come up, the tears start flowing and the threats start coming. And I think the biggest problem the last time when we get the threats were that I said we were talking about men, and I think this guy who made the threat isn't probably a very manly man, but we were talking about men not being manly men anymore, not being strong men. And I guess I made the joke that says, well, how can we be a strong man when there's 437 genders to choose from? And I guess that was wrong to say.
That's offensive.
That was a trigger.
Is it really offensive? Is that really offensive? There are 437. They made those genders. They made them up. But when you say it's hard to choose a gender, it's offensive. So I don't really know where to go with that. But like I said before, it's not LGBT is not what I really want to talk about.
Don't forget the QIA
plus. It's not what I want to talk about, but sometimes within conversation it comes up. And we talked about a little bit on the radio show, especially with politics. Everything politics and the communities are so ingrained and so a little part of everything that we do that it's hard to not talk about it. So that's the need for the podcast. That's why we're going to do it. But we're going to be talking about other subjects. It's not just going to be that. We're going to talk conspiracies. We're going to talk local government, because one of the big problems that happened with them coming and saying, we don't want Rob to talk about politics or the LGBTQIA can I just say the community, because I get tired with of all the letters.
Yeah.
That to not talk about those things, well, I mean, it amounts, number one, to censorship.
Hey, I just thought of something. Isn't it funny how you said it should start with the S, but really they start with the L, not because alphabetical, but because ladies first.
Ladies first.
There you go.
That works. That was just really, really insensitive, and I hope you get a letter about that.
It's a podcast now, so you can get away with it.
Well, it
right?
doesn't mean that you won't get a letter and won't get hate mail. You can still have a podcast, and at least they can't go hate the station. They can send their hate straight to me.
Okay.
And I'll send it straight back. That's why the website name is tabootalkback.com. tabootalkback.com. Check out the website for sure. But conspiracy theories are always fun to talk about. Local and state government we want to talk about. We're going to talk about religion. Mm-hmm. Another one of those subjects. We're going to talk about, I need to really go to the website and look, talk about the Constitution. We are going to take the pieces of the Constitution and talk about them and why this country is such a great place and how that Constitution is the framework for this being the best country in the world. But people from different sides, especially the Marxist groups, they want us to, they want the United States really to be gone. They don't like what it is. They want a socialist government or a communist government that does everything for them and takes care of their thought and everything else. It's unfortunate that people can't see here that you are in the greatest country, the freedom of speech, the freedom to bear arms, all the different rights that are given to us, and especially to have people like Scott and Amanda that went and fought for our rights.
Did you guys really fight?
Well, yeah, of course. They used to have boxing matches and stuff.
No, seriously. I mean,
well, I was in Desert Shield, Desert Storm. I had to put the gas mask on. I had Scud missiles coming at us. I mean, there was stuff happening. So, and we can go in that conspiracy thing because we were chemically attacked, even though they still deny it. It's...
Yeah, and why? How would you know you were chemically attacked, Scott?
Because we used to put like litmus paper out that would change colors and make all sorts of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you really look when you saw CNN and they're showing, the Patriot hit on. Well, there was Scud missiles still hitting. They weren't all intercepted like the news tried to make you believe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I wonder if that's the same way with the Iron Dome, that they, we got 99% of all of them. You think any more than that we're actually getting in? Iron Dome may be way better than our Patriot missiles for the Scuds, but
the bad thing about it is I had a chem suit that we had in. It was stenciled for training use only. That's what I was sent to war with.
You thank your country. Thank your country
we would
for
send
that.
people on deployments with Kevlar that was not equipped to stop anything.
What?
I had to go there with it was basically useless.
So
we would
how
only
come
give the
people
correct things to
don't-
like the police and stuff like that.
How come people don't stand up to that? It's like, really? I mean, you guys don't have a voice either? Like, I ain't doing that.
No, not as an enlisted member
as
of
an
the
enlisted
military.
person, you don't.
You're young. You just want to
do as I say.
Right.
Well, why wouldn't the officers, do you think they would want to
Well, they got the good stuff.
Yeah, well, and plus they started as from the bottom too.
They were
do
educated.
you know how much brainwashing goes into the military?
I know.
That's why they want you when you're 18 years old,
Yeah.
because your little brain is soft and pliable.
Yeah, because they say we got to break you down so we can build you up.
That's it.
They do.
And I'm not opposed to that. I mean, because we need soldiers, we need warriors to protect this country. And if we've got folks up on the front line, the first thing they get shot at, they go, and run the other way.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest problems in our country today. I mean, if I had my way, knowing what I know now, I mean, if 17-year-old me probably would have thought differently, but knowing what I've known now and gone through, that was the best thing that ever happened to me as far as being a human being. It taught me discipline. It taught me structure. It taught me an integrity for my own self. A lot of these kids today, they're entitled. They have no integrity. They have no responsibility.
No respect.
No respect.
Right. Yep.
They just think that this is the way it's supposed to be, and it's their way because we've lost our structure.
It's their way, and it's the gimme society. You should be giving me whatever I need.
I still believe that there should be, that I believe in our freedoms and all of that, but we have to have structure in doing it.
And then when you're ripping on the kids, you have to look at their parents and go, oh, they don't got it either.
Well, apples don't fall far from the tree, they always say. I mean, it's
kind of true.
Yeah.
It's kind of very true.
Well, it's very true. But what I do want to make sure everybody knows about this podcast, it is not going to be just a right-leaning podcast. I have always tried to be towards the middle in my political views, but COVID changed all that. Because here we are as COVID's coming in, and you watch CNN or MSNBC, and when Donald Trump was still president, they just ran the death ticker. Ticker of everybody's buying. As soon as Joe Biden took office, death ticker went away. Yeah, why is Fox not running an illegal border ticker? Every tick, 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 every illegal alien that comes across the street, across the border, and you hear people say there is no such thing as an illegal person. I believe that. There is no such thing as a legal person, but there are people that are standing in our borders illegally. And what they're doing is illegal.
And the thing is I mean, we're a welcoming country, and if they were just to apply for the proper paperwork, we'd welcome in.
We let just about everybody in. I mean, I don't know anybody who has ever said to me, I'm just totally against any immigration coming into the country.
Nope.
Well, we need to limit it. We need to make sure it's the right people coming into our country, because we don't need them fighting cops in New York cities. We don't need them going to jail and flipping off the cameras when they come out. We don't need taking away money from veterans and from homeless people and the people that really need it to help people that came here illegally. I have a problem with that. And to me, those people that are doing that are stealing from your children. They're stealing from your children. They're stealing from your children's children, because this is something that's going to go on forever. I'm all for people wanting to come here and make a better life. This is the best country in the world. Mm-hmm. I get that. But the problem is we're just letting people, when we've got people coming in from terrorist countries, from the Sudan, from Iran, from China coming in here illegally, who's sending them? Who's paying for them to get here? Who's paying for the Chinese to come across our borders? They're our biggest political adversary, whether our current administration wants to admit it or not. China's whole goal in their world is to take over the world and this country. Those are the few of the countries that want us all dead. They chant it. They chant death to America, and we let them in and have their chants in America yell death to America. Okay. And to me,
it's just so trashy.
And the thing is that people can take this away. I said it earlier, say it again. I swore an oath to that, and I respect that just the same. I don't agree.
Yes.
I don't agree with it.
Yes.
But that's the beauty of our country and our Constitution, that you can have that freedom.
Yeah. When you are a citizen of the United States, to me, as far as I'm concerned, if you are not a citizen, or if you're not here legally on a green card or through whatever your amnesty programs or whatever programs it is, and you're illegal here, you have zero rights in this country. I mean, that's
as it should be. But as far as the current administration is, they've
given them more rights than citizens of the United States.
Yes, exactly.
No one handed me an iPhone. I would love. Actually, I wouldn't, because I don't want nothing from our government. I really don't. I don't want anything from them. I really wish they'd just go away and let us be.
Did you ever cash your stimulus checks?
Sure as hell did.
Okay. So that part was nice.
Yeah, well,
But I know some people that said, I ain't going to even cash it because they didn't believe it.
I really did not want to, but at the same time, they shut down my business. Actually, it didn't shut me down, because being in media and being a video guy, I was still relevant. What do they call them? What was
essential?
I was still essential. But the problem with that is all the people that I worked for were not essential, so they couldn't do any work. So I couldn't do any work for them. So that's why I always say that radio show saved my life. For a year, that's almost the only thing I did. I did the show, and that's what gave me purpose for a year. I lived by myself. I did my show I had my office.
I was there with you. I wasn't scared to travel.
And you were paying for that show yourself.
And I pay for the show myself. I'm not, for whatever reason, people think that I work for Cozy. I do not. I pay for that show myself, and I do it because it's fun. So if you try to take away my show, I'm kind of half on it. I really don't care. I do it for fun. It would suck to not have the show, because it's nice to get everybody together once a week. We have great conversations.
So much fun.
We get to promote great things that are happening in town, but to have one person, because he didn't like what was said, he wants to take away all those voices. And I don't go for that. And the very first time that he sent a letter, like 6 months ago or whatever, asking for us to change, not us, asking for the station to make sure I change, he was working in politics in South Haven. So a guy working in politics for someone who was running for office was making threats against other South Haven businesses. And so help me God, if he keeps it up, we're going to expose that person too.
It's just silly. It's so silly. Why are you working for the government and you're trying to censor the local radio station? That's just so dumb. And I've heard the commercials for whatever you would call it, his party. They've had those on Cozy.
I don't know what party you're talking about.
His little thing that nobody cares about.
I'm sure that's probably a lot of his problem, is he's got a little thing.
Well, in his one letter, he wants the publicity, so don't want to give it to him.
Yes. No, and I really, as I said earlier in the radio show when we introduced this, I thank him for this, because he has shown me that we're missing a part of conversation that we need to talk about, for one, and that I'm not scared. Yeah. I'm not scared of you.
And I've had
little fella.
Quite a few people in town. They see what I've been writing on some of the chat boards and stuff like that. I don't think they did, but they did. They came up to me and said, "No, I read that, blah, blah, blah. I appreciated what you said. Somebody needed to say it." Yeah. And I was just like thinking, because it's like, I don't want to be this person.
You know, that's one of the things, and Rob and I had this conversation the other day when I was on the city council many years ago, and how I didn't feel at the time that I was making any impact, but indirectly I was. And,
right, because people were watching.
He got trumped.
Well, yeah.
They didn't like what he was saying and what he was trying to do, so they trumped him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But on the other end of it, it's like...
But Scott's not a billionaire, so he couldn't do nothing about it.
Well, that too. But, you look at that and you're like, I really was being seen. I was being heard. I had people come to me and tell me that they enjoyed what I was... they supported what I was doing and where I was at, because I was their voice. Because there's so many people out here that they think it, they just don't know how to enact it. And they can't go. So when somebody finally says it, they're like, "Yeah, that's what I've been thinking this whole time." And
right.
They just.
And I think it's a lot of lack of confidence from people not knowing that they can have the power to use their voice.
Well, because of instances like this that we're being. Well, I don't like what you said, so I'm going to cancel you out. And it's like, well,
most people.
I don't necessarily like you either, sir.
Right, and
But I'm not coming after you, and I'm not worried about what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, to me, I'm like, why are you going to cancel puppy paintings and stickers? Yeah. Get a life.
I mean, as an American, I'm live and let live. I mean, you come after me, I know how to take care of it if I have to. But I don't, I'm going to let you live, and you let me live and do my thing, and you do your thing.
No, they're actually trying to police our thought. Well, and if we even think a certain way, we're bigots. You're a racist.
That is another form of Marxism and communism, and that's what's been these kids in sadly our children's age have been programmed from the get go, because that's where it it's coming right from the schools are already.
Oh, definitely.
When they started feeding them breakfast, and they start feeding them lunch, and they start feeding them all this stuff, and they're taking them from the home. We got your kids. Take care. You go work. Yeah. You go work. You go work. You go work. We will take care of your kids.
But don't watch what we're really doing.
And they giving them all that sugar, and there's addictive things that they put in them stuff.
Yeah.
So.
But I want to make sure that everybody knows that all the things they don't want us to talk about, that you can find at
See, I said you better write this down.
I don't need to write it down because I still can't say it.
TabooTalk.com.
No, it's not. You got it wrong. TabooTalkback.com.
Talkback.
TabooTalk.com would have cost me like $150 a year to have. So TabooTalkback, that's $11 a year to have that URL.
Very savings conscious of you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I only own about 30 URLs, so I really that $10 to $20 a year adds up pretty quick. But what I do want to make sure that people know with this talkback, it's not here to bash people. That's not why we're doing it. But if you want to pick a fight with us, maybe that might happen. But what I want you to know is go to the website, TabooTalkback.com. You'll see a link called Be Heard at TabooTalkback.com. That's an email to us. that you can send an email and say you want to be a part of the show. You'd like to talk about a certain topic. We would love to do that with you. This is not just for Republicans. It's not just for Democrats or independents. It's for everybody.
What about people that
hold
want...
on a second. Why you cut me off?
Because I got
he
something
does.
to say.
Yeah, he's got to probably go to the bathroom.
He wants to talk.
All right, go ahead.
I was going to say, what if you want to be in the studio audience? Like, you don't want to be on the microphone, but you want to be there watching us and be in the room.
Well, we might let you come in, but I do want to just say that it's for everybody. If you've got a topic that you think is righteous, that your position is righteous on, you disagree with us, or maybe it is the same position we have, we'd love to have you come on and talk about it.
Are you gonna attack them?
No, we will be civil as Americans should.
These are debate.
These are the things that need to happen. We need to be able to sit across the table from each other.
Discourse is the most wonderful thing.
We need to be able to listen to one another, understand, because beyond what we see out in public and what have you, we are all closer than we all think.
Wow, Scott should talk more, but on the
If
radio,
you ever let me have a chance,
he always biting his tongue on the air and trying to be politically correct or something.
No, he's not. He's just you don't ever shut up.
Well,
so
I gave y'all the opportunity. I said I don't need to have my opinions on this show, and y'all can have a lot more time.
I think you're a great part of the show because
as we all are. This is our talk family, and I mean I'm all about this because
it's about the same as when I tried to get you involved in the podcast that talked about cannabis usage and all that stuff.
Goodness gracious.
Which is another topic.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because when we did those first couple episodes, the people that I had in the room, they were smokers. So the minute we start talking, they start blazing up for the whole thing.
Oh, poor Mason.
He's in my living room. We got everything closed up. He's...
Oh, jeez.
But that will be other talks a part of the podcast. We will talk about drugs. I'm not a drug advocate, certainly not a pharmaceutical advocate. We'll talk about what they've done to this country.
Right.
But I'm a kind of a holistic guy as far as I'm concerned. If it's something you can grow in your backyard or grows naturally in the world, it should be legal.
So should you eat like a salad?
Maybe, yeah. But if it goes through a chemical process, I think that's where the problems happen. If it goes, that's where the legal part. But if it grows in your backyard, cocaine should be legal. As far as I don't like cocaine. Yeah.
Have you ever tried it? Because people
I've
who
never
said
done that.
People who said they tried it said, "Oh, it's good."
Yes, I've tried it. But no, actually, to tell you what most people tell me is that crystal meth is way better. I've never tried that. Not my thing. That they say it's way better and just the most intense high you're going to get. And to me, I was like, that's why I wouldn't do it. I'm a cannabis guy. I will say that I have tried the powder before a few times. But the problem with that is I could never do that and then do the radio show because it makes me too nice. I become the nicest person you will ever meet.
So it works opposite?
It works the opposite, man.
Do not send hate mail. Send cocaine.
Send cocaine. You want me to talk nice stuff? Send cocaine.
There we go.
It works opposite.
See, this is why we have to talk. Then we can find things out of each other.
Psilocybin, which is mushrooms, magic mushrooms. They are, for a lot of people that do microdosing and stuff, they are doing magical things for people's brains. Mm-hmm. And
even
that's stuff to talk about.
Stuff like that.
And the reason why there's a certain group that doesn't want any of these things, and there's called pharmaceutical groups.
Right.
In the first year when it was legal in Colorado, I do believe that the Colorado people with buying medicinal cannabis took about $500 million out of the pharmaceuticals' pockets. That's in that first year.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I know for me personally, I've been on many types of SSRIs.
What's that?
Medications for mental health. Various different ones that they've wanted me on through the VA and through my other doctors.
And I'm assuming this is PTSD.
For PTSD.
Yeah, we just don't want people thinking that you're schizo.
Well, I mean, I have tendencies. We've talked about this, Rob. I'm not a schizo, but
a little crazy.
Marijuana, going to mental health like therapy, and seeing the chiropractor, stuff like that. That's been a lot better for me than any of the prescriptions that they had me on.
Yeah. Yeah. So like I said, I don't want this podcast to be punching down on anybody. It's not what it's about. If we're going to punch, we're going to punch up. We're going to punch up on the pharmaceutical world, the medical world. They need it because, I think there's so many issues with our medical world. When you get anything that involves that much money, the level of corruption is through the roof. And this includes the government. This includes the medical industry. What other industry do you feel is probably pretty corrupt?
Well, media, obviously,
yeah.
we got that. And so pharmaceuticals, you got the government. You could even get into how certain retailers get their way in through different zonings.
Fast food companies.
You know,
Yeah.
the
Killing people every day.
FDA, and, you know, people still are concerned for GMOs. It's not as big as it was maybe 10 years ago where people are frightened, but you have to look at health rates of people. We did stuff earlier in the year on the Moondog show about, you know, death rates in the U.S.
Yeah.
There's lots of stuff that we can talk about. And if you have any ideas, I would suggest go to the website and let us know.
I had someone the other day when I was talking to him, he said, you know, I really kind of believe everything started happening and you know, men started becoming not as strong men once we started using hard plastics because those CFCs.
Yep, and people talk about that and stuff that's in the water.
Yeah, and then our chemicals. You know, fluoride was not, when they say it was to build your teeth and bones, that's not why they started fluoride. They started fluoride because it encrusts the pineal gland, and that is the gland that is in charge of independent thought. So they started doing that for that reason, not because for white teeth.
Well, you have to remember, I can't remember the paperclip.
Operation Paperclip.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We brought all those crazy scientists from Nazi.
My dad was telling
Nazi
me about
science.
that.
That's right.
And
someone to Argentina, the others went to the United States.
Yeah,
Yep.
and they continued their same
did.
stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, as hard as it is to imagine in this country, our country's not as clean as we'd like to think it is.
So, I mean, kind of maybe we're touching on conspiracy theories. And I say that because every time someone talks about an issue with the government, they claim conspiracy theory. That's their way to deflect from looking at them and what they've been doing. But the other things that we like to talk with that I'm going to want to talk about, RH negative. Anybody know about RH negative blood?
Yes.
Is that the reptiles?
That's the reptile
That's the
DNA.
one where our buddy from Ian
Macklin.
Jacklin, not Macklin.
Jacklin, sorry.
He told us about that.
Yeah.
They all the same presidents.
Right, well, and let me
what
tell you
is
right
it
now.
called?
RH negative. Every president of the United States has been RH negative.
or Democrat.
Republican or Democrat, except for one, and I can't remember. It was like Wilson, or it was something else. Only one president of all the presidents we've ever had have been RH negative. Do you know what percentage of our world population is RH negative?
1%.
15.
Oh.
I'm B negative. I had to get like Rogam shots and stuff when I was pregnant.
Yeah. So 15.
So is my kid's going to be a president?
How does every president other than one in the history of 46 presidents now, RH negative? Donald Trump was RH negative too, but he was one of the good RH negatives. All the rest of them are the shape-shifting aliens. And the conspiracy.
You don't think he's one of them?
Is that the ones that come out of Antarctica?
He's Donald Trump was RH negative too, but everybody except for one president. So how does 15% of the population end up working out that every president of ours except for one is RH negative?
Well, the conspiracy is that it's all the same bloodlines and people.
It's all royal.
interbreeding.
It's all royal blood. It's considered
that's
royal
what
blood.
I've been told. I have not dived deep in this.
Yeah. So. Those are some of the kind of conspiracy
What about the
stuff we want
moonwalk?
to talk
We
about.
going to talk about the fake moonwalk?
Maybe we talk about the moon back. Maybe we might talk about faux Paul. That Paul McCartney was killed in a car accident when he was like 17, 18 years old.
Are you going to get Chuck
was
on
replaced.
the...
We might get him back. And because of the Queen not wanting all these little girls to
commit
off
suicide,
themselves,
right.
Paul McCartney was gone for a while and a new one came in. Go
that
go
good
ahead.
one is sure has a good voice out there. Still making
Well, what I would
millions.
do is go ahead and research it. Look, and they'll show pictures of the two, the pre-Paul and the after Paul. The second Paul's face is a little bit longer. There are certainly discernible characteristics that would not change that much when you look at the two.
We'll have to really dive in that. I don't know too much about that.
It's very, very interesting. But to me, more of the fun stuff will be conspiracy theories, and talking about religion, be a little harder hitting. There's someone I want to involve in town about the religion part. It's kind of where has it gone? Where has those values gone? And if you're not going to be religious, so be it. But those values that you get out of it and following those 10 commandments will certainly make this a better world for sure.
There's actually an uptick of millennials going back to church.
Yeah. And it's the same thing.
Well,
It's
you even look at Russia. Russia back to the Orthodox Christian Church after the communism. Their Orthodox Christian Church is like flourishing.
Yeah,
Right.
and we'll talk about some of this lawfare with Donald Trump and his court cases and all that good stuff. Because I tell you what, all of them have it coming to him if he gets in office. But I don't think he's going to be to rain retribution. I think that if he's not, he's saying the right things, because he keeps saying this should never happen to another president, which in my words, when he says that, means that he won't be going after Joe Biden, even though Joe Biden should be. But with all that being said, one of my guys, my big conspiracy guy, we'll get him in here. He says Joe Biden died in 2016. Along with Hillary Clinton.
As a military tribunal.
As a military tribunal, and that they've already all been executed.
Yep.
And these are actually just shape-shifting aliens that are here. And which is kind of crazy, because you can go look at pictures of Biden where there's some differences in the earlobe.
I wonder if he's really AI.
In one picture.
That was the Simpsons episode.
Yeah, in one picture, his earlobe is attached. In another picture, he has an unattached earlobe. That doesn't happen. So, with all that being said, and that's one of my favorite sayings, with all that being said, we probably can end this podcast here. We did a good one, but I wanted to make sure we had an origin story for the reason for it. And it's more about discourse and dialogue, because for the most part, what I see is there are people that as soon as you disagree with them, all they want to do is fight. They are not even fight. They run away. They go, well, that's not this. And then they'll make it, well, you would vote for someone who's a felon. And I'm like, well, it's been done before. Marion Barry got caught with hookers and blow in a hotel room, and he was reelected in Washington, D.C. as mayor.
By the way, that's a Christmas book. It's called Hookers and Blow Save Christmas. It's about a tow truck and a snowblower.
So the precedent has been set before that felons have been voted into office. And I thoroughly believe that sentence is going to be overturned in the appellate court, because
Apparently
there's just so much hanky stuff going on in that trial. And number one, that judge should have recused himself right off the get-go. But with all that being said, all things they don't want you to talk about, this is the very first podcast for that. And I'm glad that we can do that, and that Scott and Amanda went across seas and fought for our rights to do so.
And thank you for allowing me to have a voice on this.
And all the rest of our veterans that have done that for us, because to me, the highest power would be putting your life on the line for somebody else, and they do that every day. So thank you for what you guys did. Thank you for all veterans. Thank you for those that are listening to the podcast, and those that whether you love it or whether you don't, let us know. Go to that Be Heard at tabootalkback.com. Send us an email. You can find that on the tabootalkback.com website, and we'll get with you. We'd love to have you on the show and to come in and tell us why your position is righteous, and we'll poke holes in it or not.
Maybe agree.
But eventually,
that would be something.
That would be something. Or at least find some common ground, because
I love it.
I can tell you what, probably most Democrats that can't find any common ground with a Republican will find at least this common ground if they're not a Marxist. We love this country, and we want it to be better for everybody. Yes. We really do.
For the children.
That's right. But okay. Well, with all that being said, one more time I said it. Mason Dixon, Scott T., Amanda Jones, thank you for kicking off this inaugural podcast here, and it's gonna.
Thank you, Rob Byrd.
Local and national subjects. So, all right, that's all the things they don't want you to talk about. Find it at talk.
No, Taboo Talk Back.
See, you can't say it either.
Good.
Taboo Talk Back.
TabooTalkback.com.
Yeah, that's what I get for trying to find alliteration. We'll catch you next time. All the Things They Don't Want You to Talk About podcast is part of the Rob Byrd Moondog Podcast Network. Go to tabootalkback.com for more information. Copyright 2024.